With the widespread use of artificial intelligence, the world of technology is changing, and Genexus, as always, is evolving. Next, we will talk about how we will be creating mission-critical software with Genexus and what kind of software we will now be able to develop. We will introduce the new Genexus that we call Genexus Next. The mission of Genexus remains the same as it was more than 35 years ago: to simplify software development and automate everything that can be automated. Most importantly, in this new era, its mission remains as valid as it was on the first day. With artificial intelligence, there are changes in how we are going to develop software and also in what kind of software we are going to be able to develop. The unique approach that Genexus has always had is that it allows us to describe reality and model software. The model is stored in a knowledge base. From it, Genexus generates the source code automatically using symbolic AI in a deterministic way. That is, the same model always produces the same code. Thus, the model contains the business reality and intentions, which are much more stable and less prone to change than the system's code and technology. In this era, the Genexus approach with Genexus Next has evolved and improved. To create critical applications, Genexus users now benefit from AI. AI agents help the development team model software, which helps them throughout the application development lifecycle. The applications that are now modeled have also evolved and improved, taking advantage of AI to assist their users. Business processes are also assisted or even automated partially or totally by AI agents. We will now take a closer look at the how and the what. But before we begin, let me clarify this. What truly sets Genexus Next apart is its ability to understand your business and capture that reality in a knowledge base. This is what distinguishes it from other tools and enables future readiness, as it allows for continuous evolution. Future-proof means that from the model generated today for .NET 8, after the release of .NET 10, you simply regenerate the project with .NET 10 using the same model. Whenever a new technological shift is on the horizon, the Genexus team studies the trends that are emerging as definitive and incorporates them. This way, it's not necessary to constantly learn every new development. Genexus includes them and simplifies access for us. That's why it's future-proof. Thanks to that strategy, companies using Genexus can reinvent themselves, and the assets they generate with Genexus can evolve and always be technologically up to date. The addition of Genexus for this new era is Genexus Next. Genexus Next is the first natively agentic low-code platform for the enterprise. It enables the creation of new systems from scratch, assisting throughout the entire development cycle with different tools. It allows us to model, develop, and generate mission-critical business systems and processes, powered by agentic AI that preserves and leverages organizational knowledge. We call these systems mission-critical because we develop solutions for companies where data truly matters, where a system failure would mean operational downtime for the business. With Genexus Next, we will be able to define and model systems and solutions end-to-end, with AI assistants and agents. Design, integrate and deploy mission-critical applications, and AI agents that learn, collaborate with people, and autonomously execute tasks and workflows across the organization. Genexus Next is the new iteration of Genexus, combined with Globant Enterprise AI, to build intelligent enterprise systems and next-generation experiences, without writing code, without losing control of your data or relying on black box AI. With Genexus Next, you have access to a complete platform. Genexus Next Start, a web application for prototyping new ideas from natural language. Genexus Next Design Assistant, a Figma plugin for UI designers with agents that create designs. Genexus Next Design Prototyper, a Figma plugin for UI designers to see their designs in action. Genexus Next Desktop, the new Genexus IDE and the most important component for developers. Globant Enterprise AI, the foundation for leveraging AI that allows us to connect the different LLMs. Next, we will focus on Genexus Next Start and Genexus Next Desktop. With Genexus Next Start, you can design your e-commerce site, creating a first prototype from a simple natural language instruction like create an e-commerce site. Genexus Next Start creates the data model, a secure back office to insert records, make deletions and modifications, and the APIs needed to interact with that data. Here we see it in action. To create our first project, we log in with our Genexus account, Google account, or other available credentials. And now we enter the instructions in natural language describing the system we want, which is an application for managing an entertainment venue. The more detailed the description we provide to the assistant, the better the solution that is built. We can write this in our native language, whether it is Spanish, English, Portuguese, etc. We see that Genexus Next Start identified the necessary entities for the application. On the left, a brief description of each one, and on the right we can see the information that will be saved for each entity. For example, for the country, a code and its name will be recorded. It may happen that we don't quite agree with these definitions and want to modify them, either by adding or deleting fields, entities, or adding a new requirement to the assistant. We are going to ask it to also register the show producers. We confirm the description, and we see the new entity created. We can also modify an entity. For example, for the artist, we want to register their photo. So we edit the artist entity and add a new field named photo. Now, we edit the name of the application. Let's call it Show Center. Then we can choose the design system we prefer. We have Unanimo, Work with Plus, and others available. We select Unanimo, click on Publish, and confirm the publication. We see that the application is being created, as well as the database, etc. Once the process is finished, we are notified that the application is ready to run on a cloud server. This notification will also be sent to us by email. We can see the details of the project, the generated applications, and below the credentials to access, since it has built-in security. The username is admin, and to obtain the password, we select Copy. We are going to access the generated back office. So we log in with our credentials. And here we have the application running. By default, we see it in light mode, but from here we can change it to dark mode if we prefer. On the left, we see a menu of options that allows us to access to the defined entities and other automatically created functionalities. Let's select countries. We can see a set of preloaded data. This screen allows us to modify or delete a country at the row level. And from here, insert a new country. We select this option and enter Uruguay. We confirm and return to the main screen. To make any modification to a record, we press Update. And if we want to delete it, we press delete. We confirm, and the record is deleted. If we choose types, we see that it also offers a set of preloaded data. Both countries and types of shows are basic data. If we go, for example, to producers or shows, they are empty. Let's enter a show producer. Since we don't remember any at this point, we ask the integrated assistant for help. We go to System Chat and ask for the name of a music producer. To enter it, we go to Producers, Insert, and Confirm. We see that the name has a link. When we select it, we are shown a general tab with its details and another Shows tab where the shows associated with this producer will be listed. To register a show for him, we could go through the Shows option in the menu, or we can also do it from this Insert option inside the Shows tab. What's the difference? By doing it from here within the producer's record, the producer is automatically associated with the show. We complete the information. We could also register show performances and confirm. If we go now to the Shows option in the menu, we see the registered show. Now we insert a new show from here. We enter the information. And note that if we indicate any value in the producer's name, an error message is displayed indicating that this producer does not exist. This is because it will not be possible to register a show associated with a producer that does not exist. The same happens with the type of show. It will not be possible to assign a show associated with a type that doesn't exist as a show type. We then enter the correct name and confirm. To verify this, we search for the producer, and we see the two associated shows. Now let's think about the following. What will happen if we try to delete the record of this producer? Will we be able to do it? Let's try. It informs us that the deletion is not valid because there is related information in shows. That is, the necessary integrity checks are performed. Similarly, we can work with the other entities. The Options menu also provides access to other functionalities. We have already seen that we have an integrated chat assistant, but we can also access the mobile application and the security module configuration, from where we can define users, roles, security policies. Also, there is a panel to view statistical data of the logged-in users' activities. To close the session and log in with another user, we go to this option and select Logout. The user only has to describe their business, and Genexus Next Start takes care of the rest. On one hand, it interprets the user's intentions, defines the entities, the database, generates the code, and publishes it. And what does Genexus Next Start create? The system automatically generates a back office, a native mobile application for iOS and Android, a web application to manage system information, a database, security already implemented in the system, including authentication and authorization, and APIs. It also offers several design options, such as Unanimo, Work with Plus, Fiori, and K2B. And all this is created in about 15 minutes. It is the beginning of a revolution in software creation. The most innovative thing is that you don't need to know how to program to do it. Genexus Next Start is available in the cloud via next.genexus.ai, and you only need a browser to use it. It can be used to start a project or showcase the potential of Genexus. The advantage is that the resulting knowledge bases are stored on Genexus Server SaaS, and you can download them and continue working on them with Genexus Next Desktop. And let me introduce Genexus Next Desktop. Genexus Next Desktop is the most important component of Genexus Next and the evolution of Genexus 18 for this era. It is a new Genexus that allows you to work locally like Genexus 18, but the key innovation is that it is cross-platform. It is a new IDE, a modern cross-platform development environment with improved performance and a dark mode design, ideal for today's developers. The front end uses web technology. The back end uses .NET 8 technology and runs on Mac, Linux, and Windows. Everything works on these platforms, including the prologue used when Genexus generates the solution. It is compatible with 64-bit systems, Unicode, and any hardware architecture. In addition, the IDE can be viewed in different languages, such as English and Japanese. For each platform, there is a native application that is installed and executed. Here is a screenshot of Genexus Next on Mac, starting the engine. Let's talk a bit about its architecture. It is a native application, built with the same technology as Visual Studio Code. The native application contains the user interface and connects to a Docker engine with the Genexus core. The complete diagram is shown here. The application connects to a Docker container that hosts the business logic, code generators, and basic runtime environments for local prototyping. That container also connects to the SQL server that hosts the knowledge base database. It also connects to another container with pgvector for prototyping with PostgreSQL. A container with the Android SDK is also provided. Setting up Genexus Next is very straightforward. You only need the Docker engine. Everything else is included and runs locally. Of course, it also allows connection to other host or network resources. The second feature is that its user interface has been completely redesigned. Its technology has also changed. It is now web-based. Another new feature is that Genexus Next now allows us to program by writing in the source of an object. It has text editors for experienced developers to increase their productivity. And it also has other editors, such as structure editors, so that new developers can learn more easily. In addition, it has AI assistants that help the developer with various tasks, from modeling to understanding the knowledge base. Here are the agents that help model an application. First, the source text editor is shown. Here is the product transaction, and then the structure editor with the transaction attributes. We also see the web layout, the rules, and the events. Now we'll see how we can use the Nexa AI assistant to create an entity for registering countries. Note that the Genexus architect answered us and created the country transaction with attributes for the ID and the name. Let's ask it to add an attribute to register the country's flag. And we see that it added it. Now let's ask it to enter an API to the business logic with all the objects needed to update the name of a product and to return the name of a product. The assistant is analyzing our request. And creating objects as it processes it. We see that the assistant created a procedure update product name and another get product name, and also created an API object called product API, which exposes the two procedures. Finally, we are going to ask it to add REST method and REST path annotations for the invoked methods. And we see that it added this to the API object. Here we could see how several agents interact with each other. There is an architect agent, which is the one we interact with. And then this agent communicates with several specialized agents to solve the different parts of the problem that we describe. In this example, the architect interacted with an agent specialized in creating API objects, which in turn interacted with agents specialized in creating procedural objects. In this way, interactions are chained together, allowing complex problems to be solved. If the architect does not offer the solution to something, we could create our own agent specialized in what we need, and make the other Genexus Next agents know that it exists and interact with it. We can do this because Genexus Next is extensible. We will come back to this later. Now let's see how we can create agentic applications, that is, applications that use AI agents to solve problems and facilitate development. Now, with Genexus Next, we can model new concepts in the knowledge base. Thanks to AI, we can search, generate content, reason, and manage data in a way that was not possible before. That is, we are modeling more things than before. The more knowledge we can model, the better solutions Genexus will generate. In other words, the better you describe your business to Genexus Next in a knowledge base, the more and better inferences the code generators will be able to make. Now we will look at how to model new user experiences powered by AI. These are the new features for creating applications that leverage AI. The agent object, chat interfaces, agentic processes, and embedding data type. Let's introduce them one by one. For example, let's think about the scenario of an online store. We'll start with something very simple. Let's think about a producer who has to register products. Ideally, they shouldn't have to write so much. For example, the product description should be generated automatically and the categorization should also be automatic. Note that both are functions. Given a text, give me an expanded text. And given a text and a list of categories, tell me which category it corresponds to. The point is that these functions did not exist before this era. They were difficult to implement. This is now achieved with intelligent agents. They assist and generate content. Now, in Genexus Next, you can create a new type of object called agent object, which will interact with LLMs, large language models. The agent object has its input and output, a message with instructions, and a context on which to act. Also, it can even call my system APIs to solve situations. It is possible to create a special function that generates content on its own. For example, this agent that creates a long text from a short text. And once the agent object is defined, it can be invoked like any other object in Genexus. Let's now use an agent that automatically assigns the correct category to a given product. This agent assigns the correct category, given the product description and a list of categories. Obviously, the agent cannot freely invent a category to assign to the product, but must stick to the categories that exist in my system. For this reason, I must give the agent context, i.e., information it can rely on to make the decision. Let's look at the context rule that calls a data provider called getCategoryCollection. This is a data provider that runs through the category table and returns the data that will be used by the agent. This is a fun example that shows how agents can be nested. There is an agent that is a fan of Leo Messi, and then another agent that is a fan of Cristiano Ronaldo. And finally, a reporter agent who asks the fans who they think is the best. and then gives its own opinion about it. This shows how it is possible for an agent to interact with others to complete a job. AI can also be used in a business process where tasks are executed and decisions are made. For example, there may be a standard workflow process governing our e-commerce example. The process may include a step to validate the submitted information. This validation could be performed by an AI agent. Therefore, GXFlow in Genexus Next allows an agent to perform a task or make a decision at a fork. Continuing with our e-commerce example, a consumer buying a product might want to chat with the system to find out when the product will arrive. To create this user experience, Genexus Next includes a new chat user interface control. The chat user control connects to an agent object that provides the interactivity based on AI applied to the business rules. In addition, in this era, users are used to search using natural language. For this, Genexus has a semantic search. A new data type called embedding data type is now available. In this example, we define a new database field, product embedding, of the embedding data type. And a rule is defined in the product transaction, so that product embedding contains a multi-dimensional vector representing the database record. Then, the user can search for concepts using natural language. The words to be searched for don't need to exist in the database. In other words, you no longer have to search using equals or like. The for each displayed on the screen shows the most similar records first. Note the distance method used for this. This query returns data that, in some of the multiple dimensions of the distance vector, is the closest match. In the example, I wanted to find shoes to run a marathon, and it brought me shoes suitable for running, even though the description of the shoes does not specifically say marathon. That is, it brings me the closest thing to what I want. This is something that was very difficult to do in Genexus or in any tool. But now with AI, we can do it. So, the user interface, the business logic, and also the data layer have evolved in this era. And the most remarkable thing is that an automatic connection with LLMs is provided. So, there is a new feature. Applications are automatically integrated with Globant Enterprise AI. Globant Enterprise AI is an enterprise platform designed to facilitate the deployment of AI assistants and acts as a bridge between different generative AI models, LLMs, and the world of business applications in a secure and controlled environment. Genexus and Globant Enterprise AI leverage each other. This video shows the agents defined in Genexus, deployed to Globant Enterprise AI, and how Genexus connects to Globant Enterprise AI. If we open the product transaction, we can see the rules that invoke the agent objects, product describer, and category matcher. We see how the product describer agent is implemented, which returns a detailed product description based on its name, and category matcher, which assigns a category to the product. If we go to build, we can deploy the agents. Now, if we go to Tools, Enterprise AI, and select the lab, we see that a Globant Enterprise AI window opens. This is the agent's dashboard, where we can view the agents we created in our KB, deployed here by Genexus Next. We can even edit and enhance them from here. If we go back to Genexus Next Desktop, we can also access other sections of Globant Enterprise AI, such as the console and the playground. The generated application contains functionality that connects to the Globant Enterprise AI API. The agents defined in Genexus are integrated into Globant Enterprise AI so that the application can call them. Now with Genexus, we can use natural language to develop applications. Additionally, the generated application will also offer improved productivity and usability for its users, as it leverages AI. Last but not least, another feature to mention about Genexus Next is that it is extensible. The user interface is extensible, the business logic is extensible, and the AI assistants are extensible as well. Therefore, customers and partners can customize and extend them. To ensure this, an SDK is provided with sample code that allows Genexus Next to be extended. Genexus Next is already a reality and is the answer to this new era of software development. Genexus Next can be used to explore knowledge bases using natural language, use AI assistants to suggest improvements to the knowledge base, develop agentic backends in .NET and Java, develop client-facing web applications in Angular, develop native mobile applications, super apps and mini apps in iOS and Android, develop agentic back offices and workflows. In addition, our partners also have their patterns and extensions available in beta version. Finally, we invite you to download the new Genexus Next